From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBacks, the Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTimeAngles. Now, here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into the breaking news for today. And that's going to be AJ finds a dance partner in Helenius to keep fight date this Saturday. Well, we talked about it yesterday that him and Dylan White were supposed to have their rematch, and what happened was that Dylan White once again got popped dirty for another bad pitch, another bad drug test, some type of PED, HGH situation, or from his point of view, it's another false test, and they didn't get it right and all this stuff. And once again, he'll be proven innocent once everything comes out in reality. But this is just kind of like the same old song for a lot of these British boxers over the last decade or so. They keep getting popped with these HGH and these PEDs and things like that, and they keep trying to think that we're going to really believe that they're not cheating. And we know that these guys are profusely cheating pretty hard, because at the end of the day, when were these boxers really beating up American boxers before they all started popping dirty? And so pretty much it's starting to really stain the whole scene over there as well, too, in my opinion. But let's talk about the fight. Robert Helenius fought last weekend against what was a stay busy fight somewhat for him. It was in a castle as well, too, and it looked like it was in a dungeon. But he did go ahead and finish off his opponent with a TKO. The ref stopped the fight after, some pretty good combinations and everything that landed, and his opponent looked like he was out on his feet. Now, Anthony Joshua is fighting another Wilder leftover, in a sense, and pretty much now it's going to be Helenius. Helenius was Wilder's last fight, and pretty much that fight ended in about a minute and 10 seconds. So there's reasons why AJ brought him in. You have to have a dance partner that's going to make you look really good, and I think that Helenius is probably the right victim for this situation, and pretty much this probably will be a fight that goes no longer than 3 rounds, to be honest with you. Helenius' chin is very suspect. And AJ should be pretty mad, because he had a guy talking all this trash saying what he was going to do. He was going to do this, that, and the third. And then he pops dirty with steroids. And so pretty much he can use that as motivation in this fight and go ahead and really send a message to the rest of the boxing world, especially the heavyweight division. But he's not going to win anything here but the fight. So it is what it is at the end of the day. Because if he loses, they'll say that he needs to retire. If the fight goes the distance, they're going to say that he needs to retire. If the fight is even an inklet somewhat close, they're going to say that AJ was always overrated and he needs to retire. But all of that is a bunch of BS. All that is a bunch of just hogwash hate that people have for these superior boxers. We all know that if AJ was to decide that he didn't want to box anymore, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He did things that most heavyweights were unable to do. He's a 2-time world champion as well, too, unified at that. So you're really not going to knock off his standing. When it comes to all the heavyweights fighting right now, he probably does have the best resume. So he was the big cash cow of the division. I still feel that he is as well, too, him and Wilder. So this will be a great stepping stone to that Wilder fight that we're all anticipating here coming up probably at the early part of 2024. So with that, Anthony Joshua has himself an opponent in Robert Helenius. This is really just a stay busy fight, so it doesn't need much selling. You know what I mean? Because we know what type of fight this is. This is nothing that's box office like the Bud and Spence fight, and it's nothing that's like a spectacle like what happened last week with Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. This is just a heavyweight fight with a former champion who's on his way to the biggest fight of his career financially. So it is what it is at the end of the day. And this is just a quick little tune-up practice situation to get us to the next level in the game. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to some football and let's talk about it. And all my South Florida people should be getting excited right now because the Dolphins looking to return to the top of the league. Will it be this year? That's the biggest question. Last year, they had a great run at the beginning part of the year where they found themselves 3-0 early in the season. Then they kind of ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw there with Tua getting hurt. Then Tua comes back, and then they pick up where they left off. Everything's going well. Everything is going great. And then Tua gets knocked out again with the concussion. They literally had to put him out for the rest of the season. And then he gets to come back for the playoff game, and they played themselves a hell of a game against the Buffalo Bills. And that was absolutely ridiculous how that team was able to keep up with them throughout that whole game and pretty much showed that moxie throughout the whole season. I think that we all should have realized how real this Dolphins team was when they made that historic comeback in Baltimore. It was just that guys got hurt at the wrong time with this group. This group actually was on their way to possibly winning the AFC East last year before they ran into the little hiccups, before they ran into Tua getting hurt and everybody be trying to be cautious for Tua. Because if it was up to the Dolphins, he would have been playing as soon as he got cleared. They felt that he was ready to come back and play some football, but the fans and the people watching on TV were very critical about the way that he was being treated throughout the whole process. But what they have to understand is these players are their worst enemies at the end of the day, and they're going to want to play. You know, it takes a lot to keep them off that field. And these guys are always dealing with nagging injuries. These guys always got headaches when they come into a game. So it happening on TV made it to where it was a big outrage. But at the end of the day, if the player feels like they're okay to play and that they're okay to move forward, you know what? Let's not stop them, because we're all going to have to deal with, aging and different side effects when we get older. It's nobody's going to avoid that. I'm 39 now, and I'm dealing with all the effects of getting old. So it happens. So pretty much the Dolphins have the secret weapon, probably the best player, not at the running back or quarterback position in Tyreek Hill, the fastest guy I've ever seen in person on a football field. And I truly do feel like this could be his definitive moment in the NFL where he does step up to the level of being the premier receiver in the NFL. Because let's keep it real, he's the fastest receiver in the NFL, but he's not the premier receiver in the NFL. There's other really fast guys in the NFL as well too, but there's something about Tyreek Hill that just separates him from the rest of the group. He's not very big, and he's pretty much lightning speed, Usain Bolt speed, and that type of speed really can change the outcome of a game. And that's what keeps the Dolphins right there at the upper echelon of teams ready to make that big move back to the mainstream. And when I say the mainstream, meaning that you're getting talked about 24/7 on the ESPNs, on the Foxes, on the CBSs, all that good stuff. And I'm saying this because the the early years of my life watching the NFL, the Miami Dolphins were the creme de la creme of the AFC East. Yes, Buffalo went to 4 straight Super Bowls, but the Dolphins were always the team that always had the best roster. They had the best coach, and they always had the most storylines as well, too. That changed a lot when Dan Marino left the Dolphins back in 2000, and it's kind of been hard for this team to get back to that level in the last 23 years. But at this point in time, they are at the brink of being that team again because they have the type of players that are stars in this league, and they're guys that can be the main characters to what these league storylines are as well too, if they can stay consistently winning games. And I think that they're one of the smarter bets when it comes to actually getting value for one of these teams vying for a division championship. So with that, let's go ahead and move forward and talk about our next topic in hand, and that's going to be this. That's going to be the CJ Stroud is now the starter in Houston. Is he the favorite to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year? Well, you know, you got a guy in Stroud who's a very, very, very hyped up player coming into the NFL. He seems to check off all the boxes there needs to be checked off to be a superior quarterback in this league and to be a leader of men as well too. That's one of the most important things that people fail to not mention as much, but you have to be a leader of men. And that's very important for you to get to where you need to in this league as well too. That's why a lot of guys they say they can do the job, but when it really comes down to it, they can't. And CJ Stroud is still a question mark. It does not matter how good he was at Ohio State, how good he was at Corona Centennial, how good he was in his Pop Warner League and the IE. This is the NFL. This is a different animal. This is a different beast. And you have to be a mature player. And as I told you guys, I did spend time with him during the draft process and during the week of the draft. And I honestly felt that he was a guy that was a little entitled to the position, that was a little entitled to the pick. And I watched a lot of tape on him at Ohio State. I watched a lot of Ohio State games live because, believe it or not, my college football team is the Buckeyes, but I don't play it up to where I'm a homer about the situation. You know what I mean? So with CJ, I did a little bit more evaluation on what I saw. And I saw a guy who was one of the best quarterbacks I ever seen come to the school, but he wasn't the best quarterback I've ever seen at Ohio State. But he did play with probably the best receiving core I've ever seen at Ohio State. And this is a receiving core that literally has nothing but first and second round draft picks in the group. And so you're going to be able to dominate with the group like that. You're going to look good with the group like that. Then Ohio State probably had the best luxury of them all. They had 4 elite type running backs as well too. Yes, that was kind of a problem there at the end of the year when they did run into a little bit of issues with the running game, but they had some guys back. They like Trayvon was a guy that they were considering for the Heisman at the beginning of the season. And then the other players that they had were top recruits that came to Ohio State and are willing to wait their turn. So they had a very sufficient offense. They had an offensive line that literally just put 4 guys in the NFL right now. And DeJuan Jones was an absolute monster in Canton last week. So there was a lot of this. They had the perfect offense. So in a sense, he has the hype that comes with it because you played on a team that was elite and you guys had elite players. You had Sunday guys, but at the same time, too, you could fall up under the category of quarterbacks that had so much talent that all of their flaws got a little hidden. And when the going got tough with Ohio State, CJ Stroud was a non-factor. Just go cut the tapes on. Both Michigan games will disappoint you at the end of the day. Yes, he makes the right throws. Yes, he's very decisive. He does have the right IQ and all that good stuff. But does he have the patience? Because sometimes he got very impatient. And in the NFL, you have to have patience. And I think that he probably will get enough reps and enough time on the field to where that he's going to be a great option to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But he is going to have some stiff competition in that group as well, too. You still got Bryce Young. You still got Anthony Richardson. You still got JSN, his former teammate from college. You still got Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. And you also have Jordan Addison. You have Zay Flowers. There's so many names to name. And it's going to be one of the better races for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I truly do feel like the NFL has absolutely upgraded the talent youth-wise through this latest draft, and it's going to show this year as well, too. This might be one of the better draft classes that they've had over the last 5 or 6 years in the NFL as well, too. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, and that's going to be back in the college football world. It seems like we've been talking a lot about relocation as of late, and now we talk about the ACC's interest in Cal and Stanford. Are they a fit for this conference? Well, a lot of the talking heads and a lot of the writers and things of that nature are saying that no, Cal and Stanford is not a good fit to go to the ACC. And it does, and I do understand where their gripe is coming from. These are two Northern California schools, and literally the closest school to them in the conference, and they're kind of not in the conference. They're kind of a guest in the conference. That's going to be Notre Dame. And that's Notre Dame. And then after that, you start saying, now where do we go from there? You go to the southeast and you go to the northeast when you're dealing with the Atlantic. So you're dealing with the Atlantic side of the country. And I would say that Stanford and Duke would be an awesome rivalry because those are two schools that are very similar, damn near the same exact school. Cal and somebody like Virginia would be an awesome rivalry. But I understand why people have their gripes with them coming to the ACC because it really doesn't make that much sense. But these two cannot be left out of being in a power conference, in my opinion. You just can't leave Cal and Stanford out the mix unless Cal and Stanford decides to become an independent, which might be a little bit better on both of these programs, but they still need their TV deals and they still need all that help that comes with being in a big conference. And with the way that things are setting up now for the ACC, and how the ACC is starting to lose a little bit of luster after a decade ago when they made their big realignment. They turned into one of the more powerful conferences in both basketball and football. And then after a while, they became a very great basketball conference until the Big 12 came in and just absolutely just took over. And pretty much now the ACC is living off the fact that Clemson was such a great team for so long, and the ACC was such a great basketball portion, and Duke and North Carolina basketball and stuff like that. But they need a little bit of parity and a little bit of intrigue, and I think that these two teams really do fit the bill for that type of idea. I feel like Stanford, as I already just said, they can make a great rivalry with Cal. I mean, not with Cal, with Duke. And then you have Cal, who could possibly make a great rivalry with North Carolina, a team that they've played several times over the last 15 years or so. And they've played a lot of ACC teams over the years as well, too. They could go against a Georgia Tech. That could be a great game. It could be a great game with them and, say, somebody like Florida State. Cal could be somebody who's a lot of fun. And then teams get to get that trip out to California every year, out to Northern California every year to the Bay Area. Both of those campuses are beautiful. Both those stadiums have a lot of tradition and a lot of intrigue to them as well. So, I don't see it as that bad of an idea with Cal and Stanford going to the ACC. I think that the ACC's curriculum, education-wise, fits Cal and Stanford as well too. And you know how much of a boost that these two schools give that conference as well too, because you are getting a big boost in the educational department when you bring in Cal and Stanford. And I would just really like to see Cal and Stanford not get left out of the power group. But we all know that if they play this thing correctly with the Mountain West can officially become a power conference, where we know they've been leaning for years on being a power conference. And we know for the last 5 years, they've really outdone the Pac-12, both in football and basketball as well, too. So we know that coming together with the Mountain West is absolutely an upgrade for both conferences. But to keep your aura and to keep yourself in that group of traditional power teams, you got to go to the ACC. But we'll see how it goes. They still have plenty of time before that decision's made, but they are in talks with the ACC right now. We know that the Big Ten has already said no, because they thought that Cal and Stanford thought they were going with UCLA and USC. As soon as those two got picked up, they thought they were going to get a phone call too, and they did not. They literally called and it was the wrong number. So that's where they're at right now. Big 12 pretty much is already full. And the AAC, they just added in 4 more teams, and their conference is starting to become more of a Conference USA situation, more of a directional state school situation. So there's just a lot to put together. And Stanford and Cal really can't even take the best offer right now. They really just got to see who wants to let them be in their conference at this point. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into some Blue Crew Daily, and then we're going to talk some MLB Tuesday Night as well, too. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. Let's go ahead and jump into Blue Crew Daily. Blue Crew Daily, Dodgers use 8-run inning to win 13-7 at Padres, taking 3 out of 4 to win series. Quick 2-gamer at DBacks. Can the Dodgers keep it rolling? Well, the Dodgers have put themselves in position to where, it's them against the world. And, they were being chased. It got a little tough there in the West this year. You had teams like Arizona getting brave this year. You had teams like San Diego pumping out their chest saying that they were here, that they're the new wave. And, the days of the Dodgers dominating the West is over with. And, the arch rivals are always going to have something. They always are going to be lurking. And, they're lurking. And, pretty much the Giants are always a threat. They're always loom the danger, as my man Trevor Demon loves to say. That's the old horse caller for Santa Anita, who does only Delmar now. But, pretty much he used to have a good saying called "Loom the danger," and we used to always, and that was used to be in the notes for Santa Anita as well too in the program. So that's what I miss a little bit about those Santa Anita programs. They used to have little words in the notes that would tell you exactly if that horse was going to do something today or if that horse was just going to be BSing with your time. You know what I mean? And so pretty much with that, the Dodgers find themselves ahead of the game right now. Giants did win last night, so they did not fall further last night. They stood pat. But Arizona's just kind of going through the motions right now. It's been bad for Arizona. Like I've been saying, they just have not been good over the last few months, man. That's the whole thing. They just have not been good at all. And that's a big deal to a team that felt like they were on the up and up. They've lost their first 6 games of the month. Last month, they weren't very good either. They only won, from what I'm seeing here, they only won 8 games last month. And that's not good because this team was absolutely one of the toughest teams to deal with. And they went 8-15 last month. So, that's just something that you did not really factor in, that they were going to be that bad last month. And then, it kind of started a little bit at the end of June, but it didn't really matter until now, because now they've fallen all the way back, and now they're sitting 9 games behind the Dodgers, and they're sitting 5 games behind the Giants. So, yeah, this is a very important game for them to keep moving forward. But with the Diamondbacks now, it's not about chasing the Dodgers in the title anymore. And it's not really about even trying to catch up with the Giants. It's about trying to get the 3rd wild card spot. Because for a while there, Arizona was in position to be one of the wild card teams for pretty much the last, it was 3 West teams. Now Arizona has played so lousy over the last month, it's only 2 West teams now. So I'm looking at Arizona, and Arizona is actually 2 games behind Cincinnati when it comes to the final wild card spot. And they find themselves a half a game behind Miami, and they find themselves a full game behind the Cubs, a team at one point that was in the 10 hole. And the Cubs have worked themselves all the way out to 1 game out of the playoffs at this point. Yes, they lost yesterday. The Reds won, so that's why there's a little bit of a difference. But we know that they have a series coming up very soon. I think it's going to be this weekend as well, too. So that's what I'm looking at right now, is that who's going to make these big moves. And it looks like the Dodgers are very content of where they're at. They've won their last 7 out of 10. Arizona struggled, losing their last 8 out of 10. Means absolutely nothing about going into tonight's game, because the reason being is because the Diamondbacks actually are 3-1 against the Dodgers this year at Arizona. The Dodgers went to Arizona early in the season and got an absolute reality check that it wasn't going to be the same old Arizona Diamondbacks anymore. And when you look at what's going on right now, they actually are ahead of the Dodgers when it comes down to the series, because the Dodgers opened up against Arizona, but they split with Arizona to start the season off. When they went to Arizona, they wound up losing 3 out of 4. So pretty much what happens there is they played 8 games, and what has happened is that now you have the Diamondbacks are up 5, have won 5 out of the 8 games. So the thing is, that's where we are at with that situation. So pretty much the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks tonight in a 2-gamer. This should be a very good series. The Dodgers find themselves pretty much playing all week, because they got to play a 4-gamer in San Francisco over the weekend as well, too, I think. Is it San Francisco? No, it's in Colorado, actually. So the Dodgers got a full week, and it's going to be one of these weeks where it's going to be very telling about who the Dodgers truly are moving forward. I think the Dodgers are still in prime position to make the playoffs with no issues. And I also think that the Dodgers are in prime position to possibly maybe make the Braves sweat a little bit as well, too, because I know the Braves are going to start slowing down a bit here because they've been hot all year. And at some point, you got to slow down, just like I keep saying with the Orioles. So pretty much with that, that's going to be my analyst for tonight's game. You have Julio Urias on the mound tonight, and you got Pivette for the Diamondbacks tonight. So it should be a really good pitching matchup. I like the under going into this game, and I know Yuri been getting kind of blasted, but there's been some games where he kind of just settles down, gets it right, and it seems like he has the Diamondbacks number as well too. So with that, let's go ahead and move forward and talk about the MLB Tuesday night. We got ourselves a full schedule tonight. We actually got a double hitter going on today. We got one of those games going on now. Nationals, Phillies, last time I checked, it was 3-3. So that game is currently underway. We've added a few more games for today as well, too. Pretty much was damn near a full schedule yesterday. So today we have ourselves probably the series of the week. And this could be, I'm kind of talking a little early, but this could possibly be an NLCS matchup, or not NLCS, but ALCS matchup, or a ALDS matchup, one or the other. These teams could possibly be meeting in the playoffs, and that's going to be the Astros, who are 64-49, going against the Orioles, who are 70-42. Yep, I'm gonna say it again, 70-42. None of us had them 70-42. Even me, who has been feeling like the leader of the Orioles parade all year, even I knew that it was going to be, they were a dark horse team to really win the East, but now they're in the driver's seat to win the East. They're up 4 games. Unbelievable right now. The Rays have totally nosedived to the point to where the Orioles caught them. The Orioles at one point were the third place team in the division. Now they find themselves in first place. The Orioles, as I said all year long, the Orioles have probably been the most consistent team in the MLB simply because they haven't got swept in one series yet this year. And that's an absolute incredible feat for a team that's been struggling over the last 15 years. They've been 2 playoff appearances in that timeline. So this team is absolutely playing against whatever idea people had of them. And I keep saying, everything's just a little bit too early for them. But at the end of the day, everything's right on time. This team has prepared themselves very well for this moment and for being in this situation right now. So everything that's coming towards them is much deserved at this point. And you got to just tip your cap to these guys. And this thing is very, very very, very, very critical, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing, and pretty much that's where we're at. And I just truly do feel like this would be a very, very good playoff series, because this would be a good measurement to see exactly how good Baltimore truly is, to go at the defending world champions and either beat them or take them to the limit. And when I look at the way this game sets up tonight, I do have a very, very good idea about how it's going to go down. I feel like you have yourself a rookie pitcher in Grayson Rodriguez, who's seen as the next protege, the next phenom for this team. And he went back down to the farm to polish himself up. Now, when you look at his 6.09 ERA, don't get distracted by that. That's a good number for a rookie who doesn't pitch the same game every game. It's a weird process with this guy. He'll go out, he'll give up 6 runs, come back the next game, give up 2. Give up 8, then 2. Give up 9, then 4. Then give up 2, then give up none. Then give up 3, and then we got today's game. So in his last 3 games, he's been pretty good. So I feel like he can duplicate that going into today's game and make things very tough on this Astros team that is starting to ascend to the top of the AL West. I don't care what anybody says. I think that this is the month they actually take first place. So Framber Valdez, who's been very good, comes back. He pitched a no-hitter last time out. Struck out 7 against Cleveland at home last week. So the pressure's on, in my opinion. And I think tonight the Orioles know that they're going to have to play this thing very smart because they have a pitcher that can get knocked out of this game at any point. So they're going to have to get him some runs tonight. And the game before this no-hitter, Valdez struggled mightily against the Texas Rangers, who had the same type of offense that the Orioles somewhat have. So I like the way that this game is setting up tonight, and I like the Orioles with the even money tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so we move into this game right here, and it's going to be the Blue Jays and the Guardians. And this one is going to be a very, very good game. You got the Blue Jays 64-50. You got the Guardians 54-59. The Blue Jays won yesterday 3-1. They're coming fresh off of a sweep against the Red Sox over the weekend. So, a team that was really reeling going into the weekend series actually has found themselves back in the mix and right there on the heels of the Rays and trying to figure out a way to get to that number one spot. They're not far behind the Orioles. And I keep saying, if anybody's going to steal this division, it's the Blue Jays. I like the Red Sox to possibly steal it because they have the manager that can put them in place to steal it. But when you look at the dynamics of the division and the way that it sets up right now, you know that Toronto is a big win streak away from taking over first place. And they have more games with Baltimore this year as well, too. So when I look at the standings, you have a Toronto team, they're 7 games out. But they still have games against both Tampa and Baltimore. And these are going to be crucial games moving forward. And this team is really trying to keep themselves in position to make the playoffs because they have to hold off the Yankees and the Red Sox still. So they're in a conundrum somewhat. And then you have this Guardians team. Their only hope right now is to win their division. But they're falling more and more behind by the day. They're now 5.5 games back. Over the weekend, they were a game and a half back. They got swept by the White Sox. Yeah, Ramirez won the fight, but they got swept at the end of the day. Francona was more frustrated about losing the game and then fighting during the game that you're losing to a team that's nowhere near the playoffs. And they're your rival. And they did it in Cleveland. It wasn't like they did it in Chicago. So Cleveland is reeling right now. And Cleveland's season is actually on the line this week, to be honest with you. Because they're the type of team that can't get themselves out of this mess fast enough. They have to hope that the Twins start struggling again. But the Twins are playing some of their best baseball. They're coming fresh off of a sweep against a very good Diamondbacks team. Then they blew it up again yesterday against the Tigers. So they are moving. They are on the up and up right now, and they really got most of their top. They have their top players intact right now, and their pitching staff is by far probably the best in the AL at this point, and most of this season as well too. So this is going to be a very telling game tonight. But what I like here, though, is I like the fact that you have 2 really good pitchers in the fold tonight for this game. I feel like it can be a game that can go to extras if you want to bet that. But Bibby and Kikuchi are going to be really good tonight. Both guys are strikeout guys, and I feel like this one will wind up being a game that winds up becoming a game that is all about, and you know what? The funniest thing about this one is I actually have the Guardians winning this game plus 105 because they know that they need this game badly. The Blue Jays can afford a loss, but them, they can't. So I think that the Guardians snap their losing streak today and get themselves a nice win. All right, let's go ahead and move forward and talk about the final game that we have here. And this is kind of a silent rivalry in a sense, the Cubs and the Mets. And we all remember the Mets were a part of the stink that kept the Cubs from winning a World Series. You know what I mean? The amazing Mets, their biggest win of that playoff run wasn't winning the World Series. It was beating the Cubs. The Cubs were one of the best teams to ever play that season. And so pretty much that stain is really stayed on the Cubs for a long time. So pretty much every time they hook up, everybody always remembers the amazing Mets and the Cubs who choked it off. So pretty much from what I'm looking at right now, I see a game that's going to be the game. You know what I mean? It's going to be a great, great game. And pretty much it is what it is at the end of the day. And, you know, I feel like it's going to be to where, you know, 58-55, Mets 51-61. And this is going to be one of those games where the Cubs can't get too cute. And they already lost yesterday, and they have worked themselves all the way back into the mix. They've won their last 15 out of 20 games. You know, the Cubs are playing on a magnificent level right now, and they truly don't want to lose that momentum. They really don't. So with that, I truly do feel like tonight's game, they do put themselves in position to keep the good times rolling because they have Tallian on the mound, and Tallian's pitching very good. You know, he kind of struggled with the Yankees last year. You know, he did well with the Pirates on the way over. So he comes back to the Central, and now he's pitching for the Cubs. So pretty much it is what it is at the end of the day. And I truly do feel that when it comes down to it, you will find yourself really rooting for the Cubs as they make this run towards the NL Central. Even though I need the Brewers to win the NL Central, you know, they've kind of been disrespecting the Brewers a little bit. I see that the Cubs are in the power rankings, and where are the Reds and the Brewers who are ahead of them? That's the funniest thing to me. But in this game tonight, I'm going to take the Cubs with the -1.5 plus 115. You know, Carrasco is a good pitcher. It's a good little story and everything like that, but I just don't trust the situation. I feel like the Cubs been playing really great baseball. Last night was a little bit of a hiccup. Tonight will be a little different, and I think the Cubs have what it takes to win this game. So with that, we will wrap it up for our MLB Tuesday night, and pretty much I will be back to you guys in the next few moments. So when I get back, we will talk those tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now, here we are talking tickets, and pretty much we have ourselves a very, 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 very good little group here that I like a lot tonight. So pretty much we have ourselves the WNBA Tuesday Night Pick 4, 14-1. The over 157.5, Sparks and Fever. Then we have the Wings plus 8.5 tonight. going against the Aces. And you know what? Don't be shy about betting against the Aces because Candace Parker's out right now, and their team rhythm is a little off. Their chemistry is a little off as well too, because they're running with hardship players right now. And nothing is wrong with a hardship player. It's just that they are not in the mix with them every day. You know, it's different from the NBA where they got a G League and all these different people that practice with you on a daily basis, but they might not play in the game. So the Wings got a good shot tonight, but I do like the plus 8.5. We'll take the insurance here. All right. And then we got the under 164 with the Lynx in the sky. This should be another really good game tonight. Should be a lot of fun to be honest with you, but I feel like the game does stay under tonight. And then we got the Mystics going against the Mercury tonight. I don't trust the Mercury at all. I don't really care what's going on with the Mystics, but the Mercury just seemed to already have given up on the season, and I don't even want to sign up for that. So I'll take it as it is. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Mystics with the plus 120, and that's going to be a 14-1 ticket. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it checks out. We move from there. All right, so we have ourselves the MLB PrimeTime PK6. 55-1. We have the over 7.5 with the Twins and the Tigers. We have the under 10.5 with the Braves and the Pirates. And then we have the Orioles money line plus 100. And then we have the Cubs 1.5 plus 115 run line tonight. And then we have the Royals with the minus 125 with the plus 1.5. Hopefully they can just keep it within a run. And then we have ourselves the Guardians plus 105 tonight. And that's going to top us out at our ticket being 55-1. 55-1. Guardians money line plus 105. All right. So we have ourselves MLB Late PK4, 29-1. The over 9 with the Yanks and the White Sox. The Angels minus 1.5 plus 175. The under 9.5 Dodgers and DBacks, and the A's money line plus 215. So with that, that's going to be a 29-1 ticket. And so pretty much that's going to be our tickets for tonight. So you guys, hopefully we go ahead and we cash some of these bad boys out. But always remember, single what you like. I know one day there was some dude who was really grilling me hard and was like, man, all you doing is just handing them people lotto tickets and little parlays that never hit nothing. Look, man. At the end of the day, parlays are always a risky factor, but people have to understand that people who play parlays are folks who want to make a lot of money with a little bit of money, okay? And everybody's not going to walk in here with a $30,000, with a $30,000 envelope and be ready to bet the game of the year. Some people look at it like this, and if I can hand you a ticket for that's 55-1 and it's $20 on it, and you put $20 on the ticket, you make $1,100. You know what I mean? You have to look at those little things and tell yourself that, hey, just give it a shot. It's better odds than a lottery. But there's also really valuable plays in that group that make those tickets what they are. So then, boom, you can go ahead and play one of those singles, and then you can make you some money. Or you can say, you know what? Pop, you got 6 of them, but I only like 3 of them. Turn it into a 3-teamer. There's different ways to go about it, man. I'm just giving you guys a menu of games. That's it. And you guys choose from there. But I'm also giving you guys what I would feel is a great entree with the parlay. And as I always say, you can single them all. And then if we get them all home, then we bring home the reward. It's that simple. You know what I mean? You get a bonus. So with that, that's going to be our show for today. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best. And with that, that's going to be a wrap on the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.